Hello, welcome to this update. Let's see the tropics here in the Atlantic. So we have that area there still. They have moved a little bit, so now it's forecast to develop like near the Bahamas and only after Puerto Rico, because before this area extended all the way past the northeastern Caribbean, so they moved it a little bit. And let's see how it is now. So an area of disturbed weather over the central tropical Atlantic is expected to interact with an approaching tropical wave over the next day or two. Environmental conditions are forecast to become conducive for gradual development thereafter, and a tropical depression could form late this week, while the system is in the vicinity of the Greater Antilles and the Bahamas. Interesting, the Greater Antilles, Bahamas, and southwestern US should monitor the progress of this system. So it's now at a 50% chance of development in the next 7 days. So yesterday was a 40%. So they raised it a little bit. So let's see what's happening here. So first I'll show you some stuff. So that is the disturbance there, that little area of showers, and there's another tropical wave that just came off of Africa there. And let's see here what the models have. So first, the GFS it has the disturbance there. It kind of goes and tries to form something near Florida in the Gulf there, but not really makes it. And then it even tries to form something later by August 7th in Louisiana there. So let's see. The past run had, let's see, the disturbance there, and then it tried to form something, but not really. And the 0Z from today had the disturbance, but not really formed into anything there. So yeah, the GFS is not very excited, but the latest European has the disturbance there. It keeps going, and then this run doesn't go further. So the 0Z European has the disturbance there, and then it tries to form just right on top of the Bahamas there. Then it goes very weak, so it forms something very weak there, probably just a tropical depression, so very weak, and then goes there, passes right through the Outer Banks and goes northeast, kind of strengthening a little bit as it passes by Atlantic Canada. So yeah, so this is the latest European. It forms something very weak in the Bahamas, and then tracks it right near the East Coast and through the East Coast, and then strengthens later in the open waters there. So, and the 12Z from yesterday had, because I only showed you the 0Z from yesterday, so the 12Z from yesterday had it taking a long time to form, but eventually forming just north of the Bahamas, and then passing through the East Coast and going out there, emerging with a front. So that was the 12Z from yesterday. The 0Z today is a little bit similar, but a little bit different too. So let's see, the Canadian model has the disturbance there. It tries to form something near Florida there, but not quite. But then the leftover moisture eventually forms into a low pressure there, like off the East Coast by August 5th. So that's the Canadian, and it gave up on anything in the Gulf. So it's showing like a strange scenario, like it kind of weakening the low pressure over Florida, and then the rest of the moisture forming that low pressure there and going out later. But it could happen, you never know. The icon has the disturbance there. It keeps going, and then the icon eventually forms something just south of Florida there and takes it very near Florida, mainly through the west coast of Florida there, and then it goes off into the east coast and forms something in the Atlantic there. So the icon is a crazy scenario. It tries to form south of Florida, goes through Florida, and then to the east coast. So the icon's also forming this, but in a stranger way. Let's see. The last run had a similar thing, but forming a low pressure a little bit earlier. And the zero Z icon uh, had it there, and then forming like right near and over Cuba into Florida there, making landfall in Florida as a tropical storm. So that was the icon from this morning. So yeah, it's the icon showing more in the Gulf than on the East Coast, but I think this will go like through the Bahamas into the East Coast. What else do we have here? So this is the UK model, the 0Z UK model from today, and it also forms something there, like by August 3rd, just to the southwest of the Bahamas there, it starts forming something, the UK model. So yeah, more models are now showing some development too. So we'll keep watching this. And let's see. In the NavGen, this other model has kind of the disturbance there. It tries to form something, but nothing. So it's mainly the European that's showing. The GFS is kind of lost. Sometimes it shows something, sometimes not. The Canadian is trying to show something too, and the UK model is also showing, and the icon. So we'll keep monitoring this. And let's see now. This is the tropical storm strike probabilities. So for this system, the European has like a 20 to 30% chance of tropical storm striking the northern Bahamas, 10 to 20% chance in Florida, and a 5 to 10% chance on the east coast. So yeah, and then later, as this continues, it has a greater than 30 to 40% chance of striking the outer banks on the east coast, and like a 20 to 30% through other areas of the east coast into Atlantic Canada. And so this is August 5th through the 12th as this system continues north, and then later it dissipates. But it's still showing maybe some signs of another system later, but this is too small to say the very least. So it rapidly dissipates. So yeah, let's see. What else here? So that was the tropical storm strike probability. So this is now the tropical cyclone strike probability. So like the chance of a tropical cyclone striking the area. So this is not like cyclogenesis, like I showed you yesterday. This like strike tropical mean tropical cyclone strike probability, like weekly probability. So let's see. So between the 29th and August 5, like because this is like weekly, like every week, it has like a greater than a 60 to 70% chance of a tropical cyclone in that area there, just north of Hispaniola, and even an 80% in that small blue area there. And then it has a 50 to 60% in the dark green in the Bahamas, and 40 to 50% already in Florida and parts of Hispaniola, northeastern Caribbean, in the light green, and a 30 to 40% in the yellow. So it has some pretty decent probabilities there of tropical cyclone strike. So this like, the tropical storm probabilities were much lower. So this like tropical depression probabilities to strike. So in the week after that, August 5th through August 12th, shows, as this system continues north, shows 40 to 50% probabilities on the East Coast, especially the Carolinas, and shows some 20 to 30% along Florida and the rest of the East Coast and Atlantic Canada, and in the red shows 10 to 20% in the other areas. And then it already shows some probabilities in the open Atlantic there and in other areas too. So let's see, and then by August 12th to August 19th, this system has mainly dissipated there, but it's still showing some other signs there in the main development region, in parts of the Caribbean, still showing some other signs of future systems that we gotta monitor after this one. And then the last week of August, August 19th through the 26th, it already has some higher probabilities in the main development region there, and throughout the East Coast, the Southeast, the Gulf, and more areas there. So we got to keep monitoring this. And now, in the present day, we have those very high probabilities in the Eastern Pacific there because of the other systems. So I'll show you that later if you want in the Eastern Pacific. And now this is the tropical cyclone genesis probabilities. So like the probability of cyclone genesis, like the formation of a cyclone. So this is like tropical storm strength. So let's see, like this is the tropical storm probability. So let's see, by August 2nd doesn't show anything yet. By August 3rd starts showing something near the Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas. By August 4th shows a little bit higher there in the Bahamas and some areas. By August 5th, so this run has mainly the probabilities more offshore there than in the Bahamas, so the higher probabilities are like over the ocean there by August 5th. And then by August 6th has some probabilities on the East Coast, like 20 to 40%, and by August 7th shows more there throughout the ocean, a greater than a 50 to 60% chance there in the ocean, that dark green, and already a 40 to 50% in the yellow there along the outer banks. By August 8th, this keeps going, still some probabilities on the East Coast and in Atlantic Canada. By August 9th, this keeps going, potentially affecting Canada, the remnants. And by August 10th, still there are some probabilities. And if I put these two tropical cyclones, like just tropical depression probabilities, shows and ignore that in the Southwestern Caribbean, because many models always show higher probabilities there and nothing ever forms there. It's like a model error in that region. But let's see here near, so this like already shows some higher probabilities earlier, because this is like tropical depression probabilities, like weaker than a tropical storm. So by August 1st already shows like some 50 to 60% probabilities there near the Northeastern Caribbean, and then later it keeps going, some 50 to 70% chance there, especially in that dark blue, and then some decent probabilities through Hispaniola, through the Caribbean islands as well. And then it keeps going, and then now it's going really crazy. So there's that dark blue and even that darker blue there. So that darker blue would be like an 80 to 90% chance of cyclone genesis. So right over the Turks and Caicos there by August 3rd. So shows that, and shows like 70 to 80% in the last darker blue. In the light blue, 60 to 70%, 50 to 60% in the green. So it's very decent probabilities. By August 4th, this keeps going northeast, and it still some 80 to 90% chance there in the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos for cyclone genesis. More probabilities over Cuba, southeastern Florida, and Hispaniola. Then it keeps going. The probability is lower a little bit because this will likely be formed already. And or not, depending if it forms or not because of the atmospheric conditions. And let's see, by August 6, this keeps going northeast. Still some decent probabilities there in the Bahamas, Florida. By August 7th, this keeps going there. Some higher probabilities appear out there in the ocean, and around about 40 to 50% chance of cyclone genesis in near North Carolina there, parts of the East Coast. And by August 8th, this keeps going. Still some probabilities on the East Coast and might affect the Atlantic Canada. By August 9th, still some probabilities there in the East Coast, in the Gulf, especially near Canada. And by August 10th, still there are some probabilities, but it will likely be dissipating. And by August 10th, it starts showing even some very small probabilities already near Africa there. So we're gonna monitor that too. So let's see what else we have here. So some ensembles here. So let's see. So this is the it's 0Z European from today. So by August 3rd, so wait, let's go a little less further. So by August 1st, already has some weak ensembles there showing something weak. Let's see, by August 3rd has already more members there showing like tropical depression, and maybe one or two members tropical storm strength, but mainly tropical depression strength. By August 5th, most members are out there in the ocean already, but you can see there near the Bahamas, most go right to the east of the Bahamas, but some pass over it. And there are like some dark blues and even greens. Dark blues like tropical depression, greens are like tropical storm probabilities in the Bahamas there, and lots of tropical depression probabilities. Even one or two members in the Gulf there, but that's too little confidence. And some members out there in the ocean show like strong tropical storm strength array, and that's yellow. Let's see, until August 7th, array shows more members there. Some take it near North Carolina, but most members go through the ocean there, and many of them strengthen this into a strong tropical storm, maybe even a hurricane in the orange there, and yellow, mainly the orange. So as this curves out, so this might strengthen the ocean there, just off the northeast. But let's see, alright, and that member still in the Gulf there, and another random member showing something out in the Atlantic, but there's still a lot of dry air there, and some members getting really strong there, and even to red in the Northern Atlantic. If I put this to 240 hours, by the end of the run, some members take it close to Atlantic Canada, and most curve it out into the Atlantic. But be aware there, in the Bahamas especially, you should be monitoring this very closely, and also Northeastern Caribbean, Florida, Turks and Caicos, and other areas. And so monitor this very closely. This has a good chance of passing over you as a tropical depression, maybe a storm. So we'll keep monitoring this. And the GFS ensembles are a little bit less confidence, but the GFS has some ensembles passing over Florida, some passing just to the east near North Carolina. One even gets to hurricane strength, another goes a lot east there and curves out. But there are like 3 or 4 members showing like tropical depression strength near Florida and the Bahamas, some random ones in the Gulf, and that random one in the Caribbean later. But yeah, be aware. So let's see now the Eastern Pacific, because we have 3 areas. There's first this yellow area at 30% chance of development there. So, but it's likely just heading out to sea there. And then there's this one at 80% chance already there, near the coast of Mexico. So they say it will mostly remain offshore of the southern coast of Mexico, 50% chance next 2 days, and 80% chance next 7 days. So be aware. And they say the circulation got a little bit better defined today, and we have that other area already in orange there. So they see another area of low pressure could form there later this week, and environmental conditions appear conductive. So 50% chance the next 7 days, zero the next 2 days. So mostly this isn't affecting land, but we'll keep monitoring. And let's see here. Uh, let's see. So this is the tropical cyclone probabilities in the Eastern Pacific. Shows like 100%, like more than 100% there with that system in the Eastern Pacific. Shows some other probabilities there with the other system, and then this keeps going. The probabilities rise with that other system there, and then the other system also gets some probabilities, and then that one starts, that one is mostly maybe already formed or something, and that one starts growing, and up to 100% chance there. It keeps growing the probabilities, and even some weaker probabilities later there. So but nothing getting close to Hawaii for now, and even some probabilities later near Baja California, but probably not anything crazy. So yeah, we'll keep monitoring there. Let's see what else here. So the European for the Eastern Pacific shows that system there trying to form, maybe forming later by August 1st, and then it keeps going there, and the European axis strengthens this into a hurricane there, and then from that other system coming later, it kind of forms there by August 6th and keeps going and gets quite strong too as a tropical storm. So this is the European. The GFS has, let's see, it has that system forming there, getting to a very strong hurricane going out there, and then that second system forms after it and gets very strong. I think it's kind of exaggerating on this strength, but it keeps going there to the north, and maybe some other systems later. So that's the GFS. The Canadian has maybe a quick system there, but mainly that system there forming there. Then the second stronger system forming after it there. So yeah, maybe something later. But yeah, this is mainly it. Let's see regions. So for the Central Pacific. So let's see the GFS. So most of the systems go just north of Hawaii there. So yeah, nothing crazy there, but some showers and stuff. But let's see now some forecast here. So let's see. During this week, some more rains in Mexico, more rains in Central America, and heavier at times in some areas. And then as this system comes, we might get some showers and storms in the northeastern Caribbean, more in Puerto Rico, some storms in the Dominican Republic, still there. Then as this comes, of course, more storms and rain through Cuba, the Bahamas there. And let's see here the rain accumulation. So in the next 3 days shows a little bit more from Mexico, some areas with more, Costa Rica more there, more in Guatemala, some areas, some showers in the Dominican Republic, maybe a storm or two, some showers in Cuba, more in the northeastern Caribbean from the system approaching, some showers in the southeastern Caribbean, especially to Trinidad and Tobago, some more rains in South America, especially in Venezuela and Colombia. And the next 5 days shows more in Colombia, with Venezuela, maybe another shower or two in the Caribbean there. and then it increases a little bit for the northeastern Caribbean because of that system passing by, and a little bit more the Dominican Republic, about 21 millimeters, 26 millimeters in some areas. Puerto Rico around 26, 15 millimeters. As the system comes there, there'll be more in the Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas, more in Cuba, some storms, around 30 millimeters, 20 millimeters the next 5 days. Let's see. And the next 5 days it shows a lot for southern Mexico. More than 134 millimeters there in parts of southern Mexico from some storms. So be aware there, southern Mexico. Be careful. In other parts of Mexico shows a little bit more too, along the western parts of Mexico, through the coast and the mountains there, shows more. Let's see. So, let me say this in Spanish. Precauciones con las lluvias al sur de México en los próximos 5 días. Precauciones. Mucha lluvia. Good. So, let's see here. A little bit more in Belize too. More some areas there of southern Belize. More in Guatemala's many areas. Honduras mainly some showers and afternoon thunderstorms, but nothing crazy. Nicaragua there, some more in some areas, especially southern Nicaragua. But Costa Rica, we will get some more heavy rains there, especially from these systems and the monsoon there going to the Pacific to form the cyclones later. So 109 millimeters, 113 millimeters there. So be careful, lots of thunderstorms and some showers and heavy rains into Panama as well. Some storms and showers there. 50, 40 millimeters through Panama, even 60 millimeters in some areas. So yeah, be aware there. And let's see, some wind gusts a teeny bit higher in the central Caribbean there, and as the system comes through the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, of course. And let's see, some dust, still a lot of dust through Cuba, the Bahamas, Florida, the US too, the Caribbean, still some dust. Let's see, some wind warnings near the coast of Jamaica today, some heat advisories in Puerto Rico, even some flooding there. And let's see, the Virgin Islands, and what else? Let's see, some waves maybe. Some slightly bigger waves there in the southwestern Caribbean because of the wind, and as this comes later there, the bigger waves in those areas. And this is mainly it. So thanks for watching. Monitor very closely this system if you are in any of those areas, and stay safe.